Hey everyone, my name is Esmond and welcome to another episode of Get Real. If you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please help us do so because it would help the channel to grow a lot better and for us to have more motivation to create better content. And today we have my bro over here. His name is Ray. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Ray has been an agent on the team with us since 2021. Maybe I just let him introduce more about himself so you guys can know better from him lah, huh?
Hello everyone. So my name is Ray. I'm 34 this year, married with 2 kids. Career-wise, I'm actually in my 4th year running. But a fun fact about myself, I actually hold this license since 2020 already.
What were you doing before 2020?
My full-time was in facility management. Real estate was my part-time, almost a similar industry. So I was holding this part-time thingy for about 2 years or so. So what eventually I go cross over to full-time because I felt that it was a bit on a not here, not there kind of a feeling. So during that 2 years plus, but why not earlier? It was also one side, the fear of uncertainty. Once I go real estate full time, there will be like zero income. If I don't work, I don't have money.
Right, especially with 2 kids.
Yeah, that's why commitment is like constantly draining the money one, but income not sure can get or not. Yeah, and why eventually I jump over to being a full-time because I felt that I cannot unlock the full potential of being a full-time agent. During the normal 8 to 5 of weekdays, I'm tied down to my full-time job. So I felt that I can do much more. Eventually, ding dong here for a while, then I just took the leap of faith.
Why did you decide you wanted to be a full-time agent rather than just holding on to your full-time job?
Because first thing is this one yeah, as long as you put your heart and soul, sky is the limit But I believe it applies to the same for all self-employed jobs. Yeah, but for full-time job it's a different thing. You just basically clock in a number of hours and you get that fixed amount of pay month in, month out. Eventually another thing is I felt that it's always been a long-term vision for me to be a real estate agent, which is why back then during my course of study I pursued this diploma called real estate business in Ngee Ann Poly. At the end of the day, I can just get this real estate license without going for the examination.
Right.
Yeah.
How I actually got to know Ray is it's a fun story to begin with lah. So initially when my wife said that she has a schoolmate that is also in the same poly from our same course, just 1 year ahead of us, and is also in the real estate segment now. So I started to ask, who is he? Who is this person? Then I went to check on social media. I go and stalk him on social media. Find opportunity to go and talk to him. I slide into his DM asking, hey bro, how's everything? How's business and all. And eventually I asked the question, hey bro, do you want to join the team? It's since 2021 that he came on board with us. From then on, I have seen his growth from a part-time agent eventually turning full-time. Then from full-time, I get to see his results really improving every year by leaps and bounds. So every year, he's doing better and better and better. And this year, it is his best year yet, the best result so far.
Thank you.
Proud of your achievements. I'm proud of your growth. I've seen the hard work that you put in, the hard work and the hard work. It's nice to see.
I must thank you for your guidance also.
No, it's 真的是你的 effort, 真的是你的 effort. 2025 being your best year yet, what is something that you actually did differently as compared to the previous years?
I did not do anything extraordinary that resulted in that growth, but I set a target for myself. I want my every year to be always better than my previous year. Why do I need that? Because my commitment is heavy. So I need to keep on achieving more so that I can make sure that at least I bring in that sufficient amount of money. But yet at the same time, I want to grow my savings because I also want to elevate one day. So with that as my so-called motto, so it actually maybe helped me one way or another.
Your list of transactions that you did for 2025, I also noticed that you actually clocked a lot more sales transactions.
That's right.
As compared to the previous years. And in those sales transactions, you are focusing mainly on HDB sales and then bringing the HDB upgraders towards the private market for them to upgrade in that manner. Is there something about the market that made you perform this way?
I will feel that ourselves must believe in it, which is why I felt that that's the right way that all my clients should follow. Meaning to say we upgrade from our first love nest from HDB, subsequently going to the private. Yeah. But once we're talking about market-wise, honestly, the market itself did a lot better than expected. from what we have been seeing from the news back then in early 2025. There's a lot of uncertainty. I believe when the start of 2025, there have been news going around that the economy is not doing well. Overseas having conflicts here and there, wars, trade wars, interest rates are very high. But look what happened when we are concluding 2025 already. The results especially for the new project segment for the private market, it has been doing exceptionally well. So to me, I felt that it boils down to 3 pointers. Number one, interest rate indeed came down. So when interest rate came down, naturally the demand will go up because of increased affordability.
Okay.
Yeah. Then number two, the local demand is very strong. The supply, it's not in that kind of oversupply situation. So which is why once demand overwhelms supply, prices still continue to go up. And lastly, 2025, there's a lot of hot projects like Sky at Holland, Penrith at Queenstown, River Green, PP63, Zion Grand. So all these are areas whereby a few years ago there isn't much project that is launched in the area. Pent-up demand will naturally fill up in that popular location. So when project at that location is launched, it's like wow, when the price is right, chill. Which is why automatically you are seeing this kind of result for 2025 as a whole.
How about for HDB market itself?
So for HDB, especially for myself, I would say the best period to judge will be around the mid-year mark of 2025. That's when I felt particularly tough to move off my HDB resale listings. Yeah, so again, 不是 like I say I just say because my listing cannot move. Right now, HDB market, I felt that it's already come to a so-called a boiling point whereby the HDB resale buyers are feeling a bit absurd paying that kind of price tag for the resale. For example, like if they want to buy a 3-room, 4-room, 5-room as their first HDB, their first home, then for example, I quote like any certain location, you'll be paying, for example, 700,000 to 800,000 just for a HDB flat. And then that's when they will start to think that, hey, is there any other better option? Because I'm really paying close to a million price tag just to buy a HDB per se. So what are the options out there in today's market for them? Then just nice, I think there's 2 different ends of it to it. They can top up a little bit and straight away go to the private market, which we always felt that the portfolio is a better asset for you to park your money to build capital upwards. That or else if you are still like maybe just start up, just get your just out in the working society, you can even go to the BTO segment. BTO segment is something that the government, I believe, has been trying to use as a solution to bring down HDB resale prices, which I really think that they have been successfully in this for over the past 1 or 2 years. In overall, the HDB resale market in 2025, it's starting to be like slowing down or even comes to a halt, I would say. And eventually we might be even seeing the price tapering downwards moving forward.
Interestingly, I also noticed 2025 the number of HDB flats actually reaching the 5 years MOP the minimum occupation period is actually the lowest amongst the recent years, as well as forecasting ahead. It's still a low figure.
How come it's the lowest level?
If we were to look back 5 years ago, we are going to be back in the period of 2019-2020 period. And that period, I think the most significant event that happened was the COVID, and then Singapore implemented the circuit breaker. During that time, circuit breaker, everybody stopped work, construction work stopped, everyone is just staying at home making the dalgona coffee.
Yes.
So that's the only thing that we do back then. But if not, all the activities all stop, you cannot start work. And so that actually impacted a lot on the supply of HDB flats being constructed. So with that in mind, 5 years later, of course, we feel the effects of those stoppage of works. And that's why we have very little flats reaching the MOP status this year. In parallel, that also caused the whole bull run in HDB market segment up to 2025. But like you mentioned, we are starting to see a bit of a tapering down of this demand. Prices are starting to feel a bit more stagnated as compared to a few years back where the prices keep on increasing and increasing. Moving forward, I think there is a good chance that we will start to see that market really being very stable overall, and prices will also be very stable. But as we look ahead, I also need to ask you what is going to be your prediction for 2026 itself?
So I think to make it a bit more clear for consumer out there, I'll break it out to a few market segments. So mainly the HDB market. Then for the private market itself, I will split it to like the landed segment and the non-landed segment.
Yeah.
Since we are still on the HDB topic, so probably I will start with the HDB market first.
Will be good. Yeah.
So for HDB market, at least for myself, I will still expect it to continue remaining stagnant or even starts to see a dip in the prices already. So why do I say that? Number one will be the ongoing introduction of BTO supply. So government again, they're not stopping it. So they actually promised that they will actually increase a 10% supply of the BTO up from 50,000 to 55,000 over the course of 2025 to 2027.
If you look at it over 3 years, we will raise the target from 2025 to 2027 from 50,000 flats to 55,000 flats, an increase of 10%.
And also another thing is they will have a lesser construction time, probably from 5 years to 3.5 years.
Right.
So when supply continue to go up, even if the resale demand it's at least consistent, I don't say drop. So naturally the prices will hold or even come down because fundamentals demand supply continue to go up, demand there, price will drop. Secondly, for 2026, if you notice the statistics, we are going to foresee almost a double increase in the number of flats MOP comparing to 2025. So again, it's another pool of supply.
Yeah.
I don't say everybody will sell, but naturally, when people reach the 5-year mark, they will want to do something.
Yep.
Yeah. So and the supply is much more, so more chance of people want to do something. So again, supply. So when there's more supply coming to cope with the demand, naturally I'll feel that it's going to be a flat line for HDB market for 2026.
Okay, so for private segment wise, what is going to be your forecast or your prediction? You can 敢讲, just put it out there.
哇，那我讲了错， then 哇，这个 channel 要删掉了。
But you can just feel free, let us know what
Okay
you
lah, never mind, the channel also not mine. Let's go. So for private non-landed segment, I felt that there will be a opposing outcome comparing to the HDB. Number one, talk about new project supply. Government actually tapered down the supply for 2026 moving forward, even though 2025 was like a brilliant result for all the developers. So the numbers are down from 25 all the way to 19 projects in 2026. So eventually, once supply go down a little bit, then demand is still there, prices has to go up a little bit. Then next will be, if the consumers out there, you guys are very immersed in the market, you will have already known what is GFA harmonization. GFA harmonization, in short, it actually helps us to bring prices back to the historical year. Meaning to say that if you notice for a project that happened in 2024 or even late 2023, their prices happen to be like almost the same as 2021, 2022. So how can prices go back to go backwards? This is the brilliance thing of GFA harmonization. But I believe we are already at the tail end of it already. So how do I actually spot that? It's also again when we are comparing against GLS land sold or over the recent months.
And GLS meaning to say government land sales.
Yes, government land sales. So these are lands that is released by the government, bidded by the developer, and prices, everything will be very transparent.
Right.
So a little bit quick context so not to confuse the consumers out there. So back then there will be actually a phases whereby land sold was actually slightly cheaper compared to the one before. When actually it don't happen this way. Why? It naturally that the newer land sold will always be more expensive than the one sold before. Because the cost of inflation, labor went up, material costs went up, everything went up.
Yeah.
So it's very natural that all the prices will continue to go up. So but then there's this pocket of window that the land happened to sold slightly cheaper, and that's because of GFA harmonization. But now land sold in the same region has already started seeing back to the so-called the normal thing whereby it's getting more and more expensive. For example, the latest one with Newton, I think next time 4,000 also possible, bro, for CCR market. And eventually I think it's no longer something surprisingly. Moving forward, we might even start to seeing 3K per square foot for our outskirt region already. Yeah, so these are all going to happen, meaning towards late 2026 or even early 2027, we'll start seeing these kind of prices come up. So for you guys, consumer out there, if you guys are still waiting to enter the market, our advice to you is to please start entering now and stop sitting on the fence already, because things are just going to get more and more expensive from here.
Yes, I think it reminds me of one of the cliche motherhood statement that we always hear. Time in the market is better than timing the market.
听到
烂哦。
But it's true, it's true.
But it's true, yeah, it's true. So what about the landed segment for 2026? What's your forecast?
So for landed market, I only got 3 words for it, very easy one, which is up, up, up. Meaning to say, prices can only keep going up for landed. This one, it's definitely no horse running. Yeah, so why do I say that? Because again, statistics landed home in Singapore only contribute to about 5% supply in Singapore. Meaning to say 5% and 95%. Wow, there's a huge difference to it. And I also believe that landed home is something that it's always a dream for all Singaporeans. If everybody also want to achieve it one day, as long as they are able to do so, they will go for it. There is always consistent demand on that. Prices cannot be cheaper one. And also, I think it makes sense, right? Like, landed being the so-called the 王中之王.
The exclusivity lah.
Yeah, cannot be cheaper than the condo or even cheaper than HDB
Right.
So because unless you're talking about like those leasehold landed that is going to be like end of the lease then we don't say So if HDB market is all-time high, private non-landed segment, their prices are still going upwards. Naturally, landed will continue to be pushed upwards. So this one cannot control. This is just the natural thing of it. Yeah. So if you ask me, as long as you guys are ready to enter landed, please go for it. But I know still got some of them they will choose not to go for it because of these two words. Cooling measures.
Oh dear.
That's why they still dare not.
Were there cooling measures in 2025?
Have. There's one that actually increased the number of holding period, which means seller stamp duty, SSD. So they actually increased the period from 3 years to 4 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Bro, cooling measure, now that we talk about it, very funny one it's always going to happen on like a 11:59 kind of timing they announce. Then they tell you say, the next day is going to take effect, which is 1 minute later.
So it's government smart.
Government smart. There was one incident back in, I think, 2018 or 2019. Can't remember. I think 2018.
Because of this kind of incident.
Yes. Very clearly, I remember they announced the cooling measure. After that, immediately 1 hour later, you start seeing the queues at show.
Everybody chiong to buy.
Yes. They want to make it before the deadline. So now government smart.
That's why I must have this one.
Yes. They come in, want to tell you say, cooling measures coming in. They announce at 11:59 PM kind of timing. They tell you say, 12 o'clock it will take effect. So 1 minute, there's no reaction time for you totally.
Exactly.
And then go in. Now back to the topic of cooling measure again. Do you suppose there will be cooling measures coming up for 2026?
Again, my prediction. So for cooling measure, I think it works specifically targeting each different market each time the cooling measure is released. Yeah, unless it's something that can garner the whole market one, but I think it's rare. So for HDB market, if everything what I said earlier on makes sense, then naturally I will feel that there isn't a need for cooling measure for HDB market itself, because everything seems to be on set in pace already. Everything, the demand supply, everything is very nice, and supply is still continue coming in to curb with the demand. So naturally, I will feel that prices will not be suddenly inflated, because that's the purpose of cooling measure. So if that's the thing, then unlikely I'll feel that there will be cooling measure for HDB market.
What about for the private segment?
Private wise, then I will really feel it really depends on how the markets perform. Meaning to say, I think because governments can also choose, they can just stand one side and monitor to see how the market is reacting to the supply coming up in 2026. So if the market is still going to be like, wow, every time the project launch, don't care the prices how high, it's still going to be get like almost fully sold, then I think there's already a chance, there's a possibility that government will say, hey, 够了 I'm going to come in and slice a few groups of buyers out to actually slow down the increment of the prices. Then they will actually come up with cooling measure.
Right.
Yeah, but otherwise, if we are not seeing this kind of result, we are still seeing that government seeing that there's still ample supply going around, floating around for the year or even for the subsequent year. Yeah, then I think naturally government would not feel the need to do it, because government also don't cause their own citizens to have recession and all whereby they crash our property prices. So they will just want it to be like 稳稳的 naturally down there, don't have prices going up too fast, not going down. I think that's fine.
I would suppose even if the government wants to come in with cooling measures there will be a lot of ways they can try to taper down the whole fire. They can use tools like what? Reducing your TDSR percentage, increasing or reducing the LTV, increasing the amount of SSD period, ABSD as well. What do you think would be the likely tool if, let's say, government were to come in with a cooling measure? What do you think they will do next?
Actually, I felt that there's a pattern to it. It's like all these are their governments,
the weapon.
Weapon. You must take turn to use one.
Yeah. This year I use this one already, next year I must use the other one.
So if you guys or even ourselves, we are very clear in this. You're going to track back the cooling measure being implemented over the past few years. Like, the 2025 SSD was the one that is being used as the weapon.
Yes.
Then if you track back a bit, ABSD is the weapon.
Yes.
Then you track back a bit, then I think it should be about the TDS.
TDS, yes, I think LTV also somewhere around similar period.
Then after that, so must take turn. So if you see like that,
this one
then
is finished now.
then the next one I must go back to the oldest one that I haven't even tweaked. I will start to use
so
again.
use it,
Yeah, so likely I feel will be LTV really.
Right.
Because LTV to me, if I'm not mistaken, is really the last one that they have yet to revise since the olden years.
Right.
Yeah.
So now if it's at 75%, if they reduce another 5%, it will mean a lot. At 5% more cash or CPF to come out with.
Easily 5% more funds that you need to fork out with.
Right.
And if just nice you don't have that 5% means you're going to be priced out. So again, our honest advice to you guys, if you're already well sufficient to achieve your upgrade today, please go and do so. If you're unsure about your affordability, don't worry, we are here.
In conclusion, if let's say you need to know more about the market sentiments moving forward, we can take past history, of course it's a lesson learned, but moving forward for the year 2026 or even years beyond that, 2027, 2028, you need a lot more analysis, you need a lot more information, and to determine what kind of choices eventually that would help you make the best property move, let us know. We can get in touch with you, slide into our DMs, or we can slide into yours, and then let's talk more. And once again, my name is Desmond, and
my name is Ray.
Thank you so much for tuning in this episode, and remember, like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends and family. See you in the next one. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.